And so from the standpoint of the ultra-terrestrial agent of cultural deconstruction and reconstruction, hopefully, the challenge I think we're facing, the bigger challenge with this work, is to see that there's this other shoot, this other path that the bulk of humanity, that the majority of people took back in the time of Galileo. And even the Catholic Church itself has, in more recent days, apologized for the treatment of Galileo. And I think the biggest issue of their apology should have been their failure to correct his worldview. In other words, if I was wrong about what I'm saying with the nature of the hypersymmetry between the comet and the active region, which is the key to what's going to happen, what is about to happen, scientifically and spiritually and culturally, as upheavals, as these sorts of things that change the entire collective's perspective on what it is a mistake on the part of the church to be able to present enough information in the proper way to move the scientists, the reductionists who said, oh, the sun is not going around the earth, we must be going around it, which was the next obvious thing. And the truth is even more mysterious. The truth is even stranger. And I believe that truth was rediscovered in the 60s in the United States and in the Soviet Union. And I think it's actually the fight over that knowledge that was responsible for possibly the downfall of both of these nations, and the inability to adjust to the new reality. And the space program has been capped at orbit, which I'm very pleased with that decision, that no further manned exploration outside of low Earth orbit is presently policy. That's a good thing, and I'm not in a position right now to explain why that's such a good thing, but why that is so important. But it is. I'm sort of pleased with that movement from the previous administration that seemed hell-bent on going to Mars as policy. And the reality is, of course, very different. The reality is that these are political gestures that have compromised our soul, our spirit, to the point where it is sabotaging the continuity of our very time-space. And if you look at a treatise on cosmic fire, I think it's page 872 and 873, something like that, where it talks about the nature between the relationship between the electricity that's latent in the sun and the phenomenon known as storms, earthquakes, aurora borealis, and volcanoes being related, directly connected to the manifestation of physical matter as a soul form. So there's this form that we are, in a sense, children of the sun. We are born out of the energy from the sun, and not just over centuries, in the moment. And that these continuities that we see as the persistence of our physical reality are sort of grace that we get from above. And so that's the big deal with astrophotometry, is that it shows this, it demonstrates this in a very tangible scientific way, and in a way that demonstrates that anyone that is thinking about contradicting it is committing, in a sense, a sort of genocide. There's a sort of serious issue with the continuity of mankind itself that is a contingency on that relationship between heaven and earth, that seal remaining intact as it relates to the human form's continuity in time-space. And as I said earlier, I'm not prepared to support that physically, scientifically, but it's possible to do that. It's possible to show that there is a sort of reaction, a sort of chain reaction that can happen that would be compromising the continuity of our deoxyribonucleic patterns in time-space, in physical reality. And so, forthcoming on that, and if it gets to the point where I have to just sort of barf up what I have so far, I'll do that. There's so much stuff that I don't publish anymore, especially recently. I'm constantly researching, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't publish just because it's not done yet. I don't perceive that it's done, and I'm notorious for not finishing things, just so you know. And so I might be starting it, but I'm happy with that. It's okay that I'm initiating this. I think it needs to be initiated. I think the initiation time is way overdue for this sort of movement. And so if it fits with the single eye movement, if it fits with your vision about reclaiming these esoteric truths and about moving back, taking a huge step back and reconsidering the physics that underlie Newton's giant leap to the moon. I think that needs to be done. I think that needs to be done post-haste. And I appreciate your namaste.